So here we are again, Throttle Therapy Thursday. My initial idea was to make this a series, but again, I wanted to make that first episode just to kind of see how it would go, the response and things like that. I have to say the response has been absolutely great, and I appreciate everybody who reached out and everyone who commented and kind of gave me feedback on the whole idea behind it. So the first episode was just more of like an introduction to me and what Throttle Therapy Thursdays are going to be. Today I wanted to kind of focus more on one subject, and as the episodes go along, that's kind of going to be the point. And mixed in there is going to be a little bit more about me and some of the things that I struggle with and have gone through my whole life. So this one is going to be focused on depression and things, little things that you can do to deal with that depression. So I don't think that I need to do any explanation on what depression is, blah, blah, blah. We all know it. Most of us have it. I think the key is to, what do you do when you start getting into one of those depressive episodes? What can snap yourself out of it? What can kind of alleviate it? Because in the grand scheme of things, we know it probably won't go away depending on why you're getting said depression. But there are steps you can take to A, not make it worse, and B, maybe not make that episode of depression last as long as it's lasting. Oh, look at people are already golfing. See, there's a good thing if you're a golfer and the weather's nice. There you go. You can go golf and hit your depression away by taking it out on little white and or yellow balls. That sounds weird out of context. So I guess I set up an example of what happens with me when it gets really, really bad. Again, I think I had mentioned this in the first episode. I just shut down. Like, I really just don't want to do anything. I will sit in a goddamn dark room with nothing. Like, no music, no lights, or nothing. Just lie down, sit down, do whatever. Boom, done. That's what I'm doing at the moment. And that was a hell of a lot worse when I was younger. It doesn't 100% reach that point nowadays. Sometimes it does. It really, I mean, now that I'm older and I've been able to take more control of it and understand what's going on more, I'm able to own it and kind of not let it reach that point. At the same time, yes, it's still there. So what do? I kind of deal with it. You got to recognize that it's happening. That's the key. Just had to wave to those guys. That's a nice little buggy. So I think that's the first key point is like, all right, am I just sad or is this depression? And I think for those of us who have been dealing with it for years, that's a little bit more easier. For maybe someone who's younger or someone who doesn't fully understand what that depression is, that might be a little bit harder. And I think that's something that talking to a therapist or maybe just talking to some other people might be helpful for you. Whee! A lot of bikes out today. This is awesome. This is Throttle Therapy. That's what we're doing. That's what it's all about. It's 50 degrees, go out riding. So now that I have the Spider and, you know, the weather is decent, that's one of my things. I can go out and ride. I actually have Mini Phoenix on the back with me right now. We're going out riding, getting him out of the house and doing stuff. And that's another point. Just go and do something. Like, if you're like stuck in the house or whatever and you're just like brooding in these sad feelings, it's like, change your environment, change what's around you, you know, go for a walk, do something. Just that little thing alone might be enough to kind of kick the depression down a notch and be able to get you to kind of function for the rest of the day and not have those, you know, feelings in the back of your mind. So, and I know Mini Phoenix is young. He's only about 10 years old. I think he may have inherited some of what I have, which is totally not my fault, believe me. If I had a choice, I would have him not be anything like me. But life doesn't give you those choices. So he deals with a lot of anxiety and things like that. And it's sad when you're that young. I remember what it was like. So, you know, I said, hey, I'm going to go filming. I'm going to go riding. You want to come with me? And at first it's like, yeah, whatever. You know, he wasn't sure. Then I'm like, look, it'll be good. Let's just go out and spend some time together and go riding. So here he is, and now he's fine. So that's the thing. It's getting over that initial bump of going to do something. Because when you're depressed and you're sad and all this stuff, you're like, well, I don't want to do anything. And like, you may have a friend or someone who's just kind of be like, hey, come out with me. Let's go do cool stuff. And you're like, yeah, no, I don't want to. as hard as it is, believe me, you got to get over that first initial hump. Because once you get over that, you're like, you kind of forget it, and then you're like, oh wow, I'm actually having fun, and then it kind of goes away. Now, granted, maybe it's temporary, doesn't matter, because we want to think about the now, especially when you're like this, when you're, depression, things like that. Don't think long term, think short term. Just be like, all right, I'm feeling this way. What can I do right now that's going to help me? And then you get into that better state of mind. Then focus on the long term. And I think that's going to be something that I push on a lot. I mentioned it on in the last episode. Make long-term decisions and long-term plans when you are feeling well. When you're not, that's not a time to do that. It's a time to self-heal and get to that point. No squanching? No squanchy here. You want to stand next to the spider? Alright, so we stopped here at this little pond here just to take a little break and just relax a little bit. Oh, so many bumps. It's a giant ass waffle cone. Let him go, just take in the sights. Try to get out of here without spinning the tires here. Spiders don't like gravel, so you gotta take it a little bit easy. But really, you gotta find those moments, guys. You just gotta be able to get out, take yourself out for a little bit, reevaluate, get your state of mind set, and go back to what you were doing. And of course, words are a lot easier than actions. I'm not saying any of this is easy. It takes time, it takes work, but we'll do it, and we'll do it together. Again, I'm gonna always throw this out there. If anybody wants to contact me, shoot me an email, message on Instagram, or whatever, and just want to talk about it, let me know. I'll be here. And quite honestly, I've actually already done it for 2 subscribers already, well before I started Throttle Therapy Thursday. It just life tends to bring people together who are in the same type of situations. I'm sure there was a more eloquent way of putting that, but I am not a linguist, nor am I an English major. So the way that I talk is not always great. But anyways, that's that. I don't want to make these videos super long, but thank you again for making Throttle Therapy Thursday a thing, and we will continue going on with this, and hopefully if this helps just one person watching these series of videos, then I've done my job. So I will check you guys on the next one.